Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Cape Cod Commission. It is April 26, 2012 at 3 o'clock. We are in Barnstable, Mass. in the Assembly of Delegates Chamber. And I would ask the Secretary to call the roll, please.
Barnstable, Royden Richardson.
Present.
Bourne, Michael Blanton.
Present.
Brewster, Elizabeth Taylor, present. Chatham is vacant. Dennis, Richard Roy.
Present.
Eastham is vacant. Falmouth is vacant. Harwich, Robert Bradley.
Yeah.
Mashpee, Ernest Virgilio.
Present.
Orleans, Leonard Short.
Present.
Provincetown, Austin Knight.
Present.
Sandwich, Joanne O'Keefe.
Present.
Truro, Peter Graham.
Here.
Wellfleet, Roger Putnam. Yarmouth, John McCormick Jr. County Commissioner Mary Pat Flynn. Minority Representative John Harris. Native American Representative vacant. Governor's appointee Herb Olson. We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I would invite anyone present to like to make a comment and address the commission to do so, public comment on anything that is not on the agenda for today. So if you have something that you'd like to comment about that's not on this agenda, now is the time to do it. Seeing none, we will proceed. I would ask the Executive Director for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly want to let the commission members know that the wastewater presentation that we gave you the last time that we met has been sort of profiled, and we've been sort of taking a little bit of a tour of the boards of selectmen. We do this annually, and wastewater and issues around smarter government and our Strategic Information Office initiative have really been high on the list. So we have met with the boards of Harwich, Sandwich, Mashpee, and Chatham already. And next week, we hit the Barnstable Town Council on Thursday night. And somewhere else on Tuesday night. I can't really remember right now. But it's very important. And we also made this basically the same presentation we made to you to the Barnstable Citizens Advisory Committee last week, and so it all seems to be going very well. And the tool is giving us is allowing us to have a different conversation with communities, and is really serving, I think, the purpose that was intended, which is to have communities collaborate more. So we are moving in the right direction there. And responding to some of the other issues that have been out there around wastewater, we have scheduled a Saturday tour that will begin, I believe, on May 7th. And we're going to hit all 15 towns on Saturdays, so that it will be open to anyone who wants to come in and discuss wastewater. So we're going to begin that in Wellfleet, and then we'll end it on July 14th in Falmouth. So we will hit all the boards of selectmen, and then we're going to have these public forums on Saturdays through July, all discussing the wastewater issue. So I'm very excited about that. You know, getting into the communities and talking to real people about real problems is actually my favorite part of the job. So we look forward to that, and with that, I'll give it back to you. Thanks.
Thank you. I would ask the Executive Director if the presentation is available on the website, and how are we doing with the tools that the communities can use to assess, and is there a timetable for that?
Well, we began to show what we call the beta version, which is a desktop version, which is a little bit clunky. I mean, it's very useful to us internally, but it's a little bit clunky. We are now creating a web-based version that will be unveiled preliminarily with 4 towns having their data included on May 14th at the Smarter Cape Summit, which is in Falmouth at the Seacrest, and you can check at smartercapesummit.com. and you get information on sort of what the Smarter Cape's about and registration information. So that is progressing. Now, as we've gone around to towns, there are several towns, many of whom are pretty far along in their wastewater planning efforts, that see the value in the tool and want to use it. So we are trying to expedite efforts to get it into a form where it can be useful for towns, and we already have a couple of places we would like to go, and we're waiting sort of for a more formal agreement. But we hope to be using the tool, at least the desktop version, this summer in a couple of towns to talk about regional efforts and how we can move this discussion forward.
Thank you very much. It's very important work, and I think the commission is breaking new ground, not only with the application and the products that it's going to produce, it's going to be something that will be copied elsewhere, so it's exciting. At this point, I would announce a public hearing for the Buzzards Bay Growth Incentive Zone, and I'd like to have presentation of the draft written decision, and at this point, I would ask anyone in the audience who would like to address the commission to stand and raise the right hand and be sworn in, please. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby swear that the testimony I'm about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. You may be seated. I would also note that this is a continued public hearing from April 9, 2012, and Commission staff, Ryan Christenberry and Jessica Rempel, is that the right pronunciation? Rempel, thank you. I knew I'd messed that one up. To present the decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Ryan Christenberry, planner with the Commission and the Technical Assistance Liaison to the Town of Bourne. I would like to just walk you through the staff analysis on the proposed GIZ, including the procedural history, the Commission's criteria for GIZ approval, the proposed GIZ area, the town's DRI threshold modification request, and existing infrastructure and offsets. I'll then pass things off to Jessica Rempel, who will walk you through the Planning Committee's deliberations and the draft decision. The purpose of the Commission's Growth Incentive Zone, or GIZ, tool is to enhance areas of existing development and encourage a concentrated mix of residential and commercial uses served by existing infrastructure. Development potential outside the GIZ must also be reduced through land protection measures and/or zoning changes. The GIZ regulations contain the GIZ approval criteria, which include consistency with the goals of the town's local comprehensive plan, the regional transportation plan, and the regional policy plan. GIZs must be located in mapped economic centers consistent with the regional land use vision map, and development reductions or offsets must be provided outside the GIZ to help direct the desired growth toward the GIZ.
A minute, please. Ryan, is there any way to make the screen go up a little bit so it's up closer to that? Yeah, get it off the ground a little bit. We're getting there.
It doesn't have a kickstand. Better?
Life is good. Proceed, please.
Let's see. Next slide. On March 8th, the Bourne Planning Board voted to forward the GIZ application to the Cape Cod Commission. It was officially received or submitted on March 9th. The Board of Selectmen formally endorsed the GIZ application on March 20th, and it was deemed complete on the 29th. The Commission Planning Committee held a public meeting on the proposed application on April 9th, and their recommendation is before you today. An approval of the GIZ decision here today would then be forwarded on to the Assembly of Delegates for adoption as regional ordinance. The map on the left side of the screen represents the downtown zoning district adopted in 2008, which includes the downtown core, the downtown gateway, the downtown waterfront, and the downtown neighborhood. All districts except for the downtown neighborhood comprise the GIZ area, which is reflected in the map in the lower right. Through the proposed GIZ application, the town is seeking a DRI threshold modification. This threshold modification request, or CAP, has been presented in 3 phases. Phase 1 seeks relief for 128 residential units and up to 265,000 square feet of commercial development. Phase 2 would be an additional 122 residential units for a total of 250 units for both phases. And then Phase 3 would be an additional 110 units with another 385,000 square feet of additional commercial development. An analysis of the existing infrastructure suggests that there is sufficient water supply capacity and wastewater allocation to support the requested development potential for Phase 1, as determined by a Commission staff analysis, build-out analysis conducted in 2011, and is presented as part of the GIZ application. In addition, planned improvements to Memorial Circle and the Belmont Rotary and Main Street, streetscape improvements that are in progress, represent the sufficient infrastructure to support the threshold relief requested under Phase 1 for transportation. Staff further suggests that the proposed GIZ is consistent with the community orientation, livability, and multimodal accessibility goals of the Regional Transportation Plan. The town has permanently protected more than 25 acres of commercially zoned land outside the GIZ and more than 65 acres of residentially zoned land. The town has further identified 17 parcels totaling 121 acres for potential future residential offsets that would support the desired growth outlined in phases 2 and 3. And then from here, I'd like to just pass it off to Jess Rempel.
Thank you. For the record, Jessica Rempel, Regulatory Officer with the Cape Cod Commission. I'm just going to walk you through an overview of the draft written decision. You received one in the mail from last week's mailing. There's also a revised version available in your package that you received today. It has red line changes in it. So I just want to go through a brief overview of the written decision and highlight some of these suggested revisions and then also the Planning Committee recommendations. On the first page, you'll notice there's the general section, the procedural history, the description of the area. These were all covered by Ryan. In the section that refers to the town's request for the DRI threshold modification, that's where you'll start to see the first revisions. And I just want to walk you through these a little bit. The suggested edits starting on page 2 of the draft written decision make clarifications to the information regarding water-related infrastructure. For example, language has been added regarding remaining water supplies being as limiting as remaining wastewater allocation. In addition, proposed language has been added to the Phase 1 cap of the threshold modification request to better illustrate that this is the two-part nature of the limitations to Phase 1 growth. So there's still the first section of the Phase 1 cap, which are the residential units, the number of residential units and the square footage of commercial development that Ryan described. But there's also a sentence that states Phase 1 development may not exceed remaining wastewater allocation and/or remaining water supply capacity. The reason for this is, and you'll notice that these are defined terms, is that this number may not be quite the same as what was presented in the build-out analysis that was done in 2011 and was presented in the GIZ application. But it does allow for some flexibility there, one way or the other. Once they get to the Phase 1 cap, they'll come in for modification for Phase 2. Water infrastructure is discussed numerous times throughout the document, so relevant changes to make the document consistent throughout have been made throughout the document, and I just have the page numbers up here on the screen. I'm not going to step through every single one of those pages, but the changes that, the suggested revisions that have been made all tie back to this water-related infrastructure clarification. Keep in mind, Phase 1 residential growth is also limited by existing offsets, as Ryan described. And as identified in the conditions section of the draft written decision, the town shall maintain a tracking system to track the development and the water supplies and wastewater allocation. That will be submitted annually to the commission. In addition to these water infrastructure-related edits, there are just a few other minor clerical edits to the draft decision. So moving along, the next section is findings, and there's a general finding section. You'll see that there are new findings suggested in here, and those all, again, pertain to the water-related infrastructure, and just points of clarification to that effect. I wanted to point out as well that General Finding 13, the Planning Committee recommended language be included in the draft decision, allowing the town to seek a modification to allow flexibility for future offset requirements for phases 2 and 3 growth. That language can be found in General Finding number 13, the last sentence of which states, and I quote, "Pursuant to any amendments to Chapter G of the Commission's GIZ regulations, the Commission finds that the town may seek a modification of this decision for purposes of amending the decision consistent with the revised regulations." Moving on, pursuant to Section 2 of the GIZ regulations, the GIZ eligibility criteria are the criteria such as being in an economic center that a proposed area has to meet to be eligible for GIZ designation, and the Planning Committee recommends that the proposed Buzzards Bay GIZ area meets these criteria. And pursuant to Section 8 of the GIZ regulations, the GIZ standards of review and approval are the criteria such as being consistent with the LCP and the RPP that a proposed GIZ has to meet to be approved, and the Planning Committee recommends that the proposed Buzzards Bay GIZ meets these criteria as well. The next section is the conditions section, beginning with general conditions.
Jessica, may I
Yep.
suggest just, if you would, please call out the page when you make your transition? That way I can keep up.
Sure.
So thanks.
The page of the draft, the revised draft. So
Please.
at this point, let me just pull it up here. We are in Section 7, which begins on page 17, and these are the conditions. Again, red line changes here pertain to those water-related infrastructure clarifications. General Condition 5 and 6, just to bring your attention to these, describe the tracking system the town shall be required to maintain and submit annually to the Commission. And Condition number 9 refers to the modification process once the town wants to seek modification of the decision. The condition section ends with RPP issue area related conditions as recommended by the Planning Committee. And in conclusion, on the last slide, the Planning Committee recommends the proposed GIZ is consistent with Commission regulations and recommends approval with conditions of the proposed GIZ and Phase 1 DRI threshold modification. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would invite the applicant, the Town of Bourne's representative, to make their presentation, please.
Good afternoon. Corinne Moore, planner for the Town of Bourne. I'd just like to say that we are pleased to be here today. We've been working on our growth incentive zone application for the past few years. We have finally gotten an application that we feel will give us a good start. I also want to thank the staff and the executive director for helping the Town of Bourne. We kind of got stalled there for a while. We were able to get over that hump and get here today. Bourne identified the Main Street area in Buzzards Bay as Bourne's downtown, a place for desired growth, particularly commercial and mixed growth. The local comprehensive plan identified the downtown as a high priority for redevelopment and infill. The redevelopment of downtown is envisioned as a commercial, cultural, residential, and institutional center for Bourne. a vibrant destination for residents and visitors, a unique opportunity for social interaction, and a livable, workable, and walkable village. The town is continually working on revitalization of the downtown. In March of 2008, the Bourne Financial Development Corporation, in cooperation with the town of Bourne, completed a vision plan for the downtown. October 2008, town meeting approved Mass General Law, Chapter 43D, expedited permitting. New downtown zoning, design review guidelines, which are currently coming back to town meeting, not only to be guidelines, but to be standards. And today, we're here to implement another downtown vision plan action, a growth incentive zone. The application before you today proposes a three-phase approach due to the difficulty of finding the required offsets and due to the limitations of wastewater disposal and water supply. The application takes in consideration the cumulative threshold, which will allow projects to proceed until the existing wastewater capacity limit is reached or until offsets have been depleted. Essentially, development will happen on a first-come, first-served basis. The town still has a long way to go, but we believe that the approval of this growth incentive zone will move the town in the right direction towards achieving the goal of a vibrant and productive downtown. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run you over. Please proceed.
Not the first time, sir.
Won't be the last, maybe. Okay.
My name's Tom Garino. I'm the town administrator for Bourne, and Corinne does such a good job, I can't duplicate that, but I do want to let the folks here know that this is a culmination of an extremely thorough and sometimes we would think exhaustive process. It is really one of the things that we look at as a true collaborative effort, not only with the commission, but within, it really brought pieces of our community together. The selectmen, the planning board, the town planner, the Bourne Financial Development Corporation, the Main Street Steering Committee. All of these pieces have played a big part in putting this whole thing together over the last 3 years now. It's not very often you get that many players working for such a long period of time on a particular project in a community without fracturing. This has not happened. This has been a really, the folks have had a very pinpointed vision on where they want to take this. And today, this is a really critical piece to what we want to do in downtown Buzzards Bay or downtown Bourne. I think people have to start looking at this as downtown Bourne. And with all of the other work that's been done, the studies, the visioning, the preparedness for flood zone construction, all of the things that you have to do, Bourne has put their time, money, resources, and sweat into this. And without the guidance of Corinne and Mr. Nedzwicki and the staff at the commission, I don't think we'd be here. We've had some great collaborative work with the commission and Paul. Paul's been a real guiding force to help us with this, and we have hit a couple of bumps in the road, but we've been able to work through it. It is important to the town of Bourne that the commission hopefully views this favorably today. We really want to start marching forward and would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on all that work, too. It's a lot. Any others that would like to speak that are from the town? Seeing none, I would invite the members of the Cape Cod Commission to ask questions of either staff or the applicant if you have some or have them. Yes, Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, and up front, a little under the weather, so hopefully I won't stumble too much. I don't have a question so much, really, as I have compliments for my fellows in the town of Bourne for all of the yeoman's work that they've been able to master. I've been pleased and honored to have participated with them throughout most of the project for the past several years, specifically the Main Street Steering Committee and their efforts in working with the town of Bourne to try to present what will hopefully be a return to the historic development of economic potential for the town of Bourne in downtown Buzzards Bay. And I think Mr. Guarino just hit it right on the head. One of the things that politically and socially we've struggled with in the town of Bourne over the past number of years is trying to remind ourselves that our villages are part of our identity, but we would like to see the villages and their existence enhanced by the development of our downtown, which is the downtown of the entire town of Bourne. We want everyone, regardless of village, to be proud of the work that we can do to pull together some gravity towards Main Street, Buzzards Bay. So again, I just really want to, I want my fellow commission members to know this has been an awful lot of work, and an awful lot of talent has been brought forward with regard to the engineering, the planning, the regulatory work that was involved in this many-year project, that it does seem to comport with our local comprehensive plan, which also was another yeoman's piece of work that was pulled off prior to this. And specifically, I would like to applaud and thank Sally Riggs for her direction on our Main Street Steering Committee, and of course the other members as well. Chris Farrell from our planning board, Barry Mata as well, Kathy Zagzebski, I'm sorry, Kathy, and of course Sharon Rooney, has been with us throughout every step of the way. And the commission has been very helpful on the project. So I would encourage the commission members to look favorably upon this project as well.
Thank you. Yes, Joanne O'Keefe.
I was a member of the Planning Committee under the direction of our Chair, Mr. Harris, and Michael Blankton, as the representative for Bourne, brought out some of the points that you just heard. But in order to move forward for the draft written decision, what should also be on there is that they would not be, the town of Bourne would not be able to move forward unless we pass this today. It's the first step of several steps and hurdles that they're going to need to overcome. But Michael Blankton, and I think it was Chris Farrell and some of the others, pointed out some of the development that has been done in Buzzards Bay. The Cumberland Farm gasoline station that, you know, is modernized, and they worked with the town. I believe that's how it was, that they worked with the town. We recognize that the New England, I want to get it right, Kathy, what is it? It's the New England Marine... Right, that their development has gone from, you know, what was just a small little store into something that is going to benefit all of Cape Cod. And of course, on Downtown Hall, on Perry Street, they had that development on the canal and new housing. So in this area, it has been moving forward. And, you know, I would just say keep up the good work. And the staff has done a wonderful job. So I just wanted to add those comments. And thank you, Michael, for bringing some of that out at the Planning Committee.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Putnam.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. This DRI brings into play several issues besides just the question of downtown Bourne. Rather than routinely approve the staff recommendation, I would ask you to consider the purpose of this Bourne and also the impact of removing land from private ownership to public ownership, given the land already set aside in Bourne. Upholding the strictures placed on the Commission by the Cape Cod Commission Act is our responsibility, and it's up to us, the members, to make the decisions required by the Act. Our highly qualified and competent staff prepare a report for our information and consideration. It is our responsibility to amend it, change as we see fit during the approval process. The Act places the onus on us, not the staff, to approve or disapprove whatever actions are required. My objection here is centered around the fact that the Cape Cod Commission Act enjoins us to, quote, enhance local and regional economies, and it says nothing about asking towns to pay a price for this enhancement, yet this is what we're doing. The background here, the state DOT decided to improve traffic flow to and from the Bourne Bridge, and in doing so, built Route 5 and the flyover. That portion of the Bourne business community that was dependent on this traffic flow withered and died. And with its death came blight, which is the present problem of east and south of Route 6 in Bourne. While this is on the surface strictly a Bourne problem, I would suggest to you it is a Cape problem as well. This is one of the gateways to the Cape, and it behooves us to assist it in its regeneration. The issues involved are this, simply, what is our responsibility under the CAPE Act? What is the purpose of the specific proposal, the GIZ? What is the specific need for additional open space in this case? And what are the impacts on the affordability of housing in Bourne by taking land for conservation purposes? Dealing with each issue separately, there is no question that we, the Commission, are enjoined to enhance sound local and regional economies. The second point, there is here the need for enhancement, to say the least. As I said previously, this is a blighted area, and the blight is none of Bourne's doing. It was foisted on the town by the DOT, and the impact is local, but it is also regional, for Bourne is one of the gateways to the Cape, and in this specific case, the use of offsets to penalize the town and vitiate the economic enhancement which we are enjoined to foster. The third issue here is we have a community that has many thousands of acres of conserved land in the MMR. It's got at least a couple of thousand acres of conserved land and water in the Cape Cod Canal, which cuts the community in two. The MMA, the Scusset Reservation, and other lesser plots. Given this, why are we asking for more offsets? Ask yourself, why, with so many acres of land already protected, do we need to demand that Bourne take more land off the tax rolls? The Act allows us to do so, but is it a demonstration of concern for the residents of Bourne, or is it a lack of common sense? Or perhaps it's a triumph of protocol over purpose. Finally, I would ask you to consider the impact of this kind of offset on affordable housing. As you know, the cost of a house, a structure, is more or less the same throughout most of New England, no matter where you build it. It's the cost of the land that makes the difference. The more you reduce the availability of land, the higher its value. That's Act 101. All that will result from these offsets is the value of the remaining land will increase. Up goes the price of affordable housing. It is not difficult to understand that the more a house costs, the less affordable it becomes, with the long-term result that the Cape will become another large-scale illuminated mortuary if we continue to set aside land for public use rather than for affordable housing. If we do this, there'd be another victory of procedure over common sense. I would ask you to keep in mind the purpose of the Act, the reason why we're acting on it: preserve, conserve, and enhance. The document doesn't mention an RPP or an RTP or an LCP or an LUVM or anything else, or any other acronym. These are only tools that are used to guide us as we seek to fulfill the purposes enjoined on us by the Act.
Roger?
Yes, sir.
Let me interject real quickly here. I need to have you frame a question, and not that I disagree with anything that you've said. At the end, if you have a motion to frame, we can make motions.
That's what I'm going to do.
And 7. So at this time, I would try to target the questions, and we also have, for further discussion, if you can cut it off real quick and finish it, then that's fine, or I would say table it until we have the discussion, the draft decision.
Mr. Chairman, I will wait to further comment until we are prepared for motions. I have a motion ready.
Thank you. Okay.
For any of you who didn't think otherwise.
Questions? Any questions from the members of the commission? Yes, Elizabeth.
In our packet, we had 2 maps. Is it possible to put those up there on display and explain them? I mean, we've talked about the paper we have, but you never showed what we're talking about, where it is, what it looks like. Yes, it's on. And if you can just tell us how all of this interrelates, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Well, I can try. So the downtown zoning district, which Ms. Moore mentioned, was passed in 2008. Those are the 4 color districts up and to the left. There are 4 separate zoning districts. It's a form-based code, form-based mixed-use code. All of the residential, or pardon me, the commercial areas are included within the GIZ boundary, which is represented in the lower right on the map. The downtown neighborhood, which is in R40, I believe, is not included in the GIZ boundary. did you have another follow-up question to beyond the boundary?
So I'm just trying to figure out what it looks like now and how the thresholds are changing and the wetland map, how those are all going to be protected within this process.
I can speak to this Jessica Rempel, Commission staff, for the record. The two maps that were included in the draft written decision in the mailing are not these two maps. One is the GIZ boundary, so that's Exhibit A. That's to be included as an exhibit with the draft with the decision. The other is a wetlands map. These are the wetlands that are identified within the GIZ boundaries, and the reason being that in the section of the draft written decision that refers to natural resource areas, i.e. wetlands, that may be contained within the GIZ boundaries, there's descriptions of them, so we felt it would be appropriate to include a map and reference that as an Exhibit B. So that's what those two maps are. If you want to ask your question again, I might be able to.
Okay. Are there adequate protections in place, or are they part of the whole GIZ? Because these wetlands are interspersed within the GIZ, and I'm curious about the white parcel in the bottom map on the right. There's a white section in the middle. Is that new GIZ? Is that new GIZ parcels, or what is it?
Yep. That's zoned. You can see the little downtown neighborhood. There's a piece here. That's just part of the downtown neighborhood, and so it's removed from the GIZ boundary in the lower map. So it's a residential zoning district.
Okay. Thank you.
Heather may be able to answer any questions you have about the wetlands specifically,
Okay.
if you have
Yeah,
some.
that would be great.
Further questions, or would you like a
I
continued
just
response?
want to know, Heather can answer my question.
Okay.
I'll try to answer your questions.
Okay.
Heather McElroy, Natural Resource Specialist for the Commission.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I hate to interrupt, but I think Heather came in after you swore everybody. I didn't know whether, for practical purposes, maybe.
Thank you.
Is that true?
That is true. I was not sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. I
I, Heather McElroy,
do hereby swear that the testimony I'm about to give is the truth,
do hereby swear that the testimony I'm about to give is the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but
and
the
nothing but the truth.
truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jack.
The Town of Bourne, in its application for this GIZ, provided some information about the different wetlands that are included within the boundaries. Ryan may be able to elucidate a little bit, but they did modify the boundary in this final application to eliminate areas in the northeastern corner, sort of pulling out Bourne Pond and some wetlands that are over there. For the most part, generally speaking, these wetlands are, like especially the ones associated with Belmont Circle, are likely, they are regulatable wetlands, but they likely are the result of stormwater management facilities. They are located within Mass DOT property. They would be subject to the Bourne Wetland Bylaw, should any changes be proposed in those locations. There is the salt marsh that's located, well, on the western corner on your way to Wareham. It's immediately adjacent to the marina. It doesn't appear that there's much opportunity to alter that. It's already severely constricted. There's a shallow marsh located within, between the canal and the railroad right-of-way, and that is adjacent to public lands. Is Michael sort of orienting you?
Yes, he's doing a very good job. Thank you.
And then the part of the GIZ, this white triangle sort of in the central area that's residentially zoned, that was one of the parts that they took out in their refiling or their amendment to their original application. There is a salt marsh that's located just adjacent to that. That's the one that is, potentially it's adjacent to land that's presently undeveloped. The front part of that parcel is presently development. I think it's Ryan Family Amusements. It would again be subject to the Bourne Wetlands bylaw if any changes were proposed at that location. We've encouraged increasing buffers at that location should any development be proposed at that location. The Bourne Wetland bylaw does require a 50-foot buffer, undisturbed buffer, so.
All right, I was just curious, especially about the salt marshes, because there doesn't appear to be any hydrologic connection.
There are culverts. These areas are definitely constricted. I'm not
So are they
intimately familiar with them, but they are definitely impacted.
So they're on the tidal restriction list?
That I'm not so sure about.
I'm just curious how they're existing as salt marshes if they're not.
I know that
they're-
the one that's a little further west within the public property is that's adjacent to the National Marine Life Center, right? And that previously had been considered as for restoration in some form. So, they have a whole body of things that they're trying to do at the National Marine Life Center. They're aware of the salt marsh at that location. They'd like to improve it. That is all dependent on funding. Blah, blah. I mean, that's information I knew from a while back. But I think there's potential for changes at that particular location. The other one I know less about.
Okay, and the marshes and wetlands are all the result of runoff that has now created wetlands?
Well, the ones
covered.
in the the eastern end up near Belmont Circle and the on-ramps
Yeah.
to the Bourne Bridge, those are likely a result of stormwater management.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. It's very nice to see this finally reach fruition, because I know the town has been working on it absolutely forever, and I applaud the results and look forward to what will happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Any more questions? Yes, Mr. Knight.
The wastewater infrastructure, could someone just give me the Reader's Digest version of what type of a structure that is? Because that seems to be the topic of discussion these days, so just a...
Good afternoon, Scott Michel with the Water Resources Program at the Commission. The sewer collection area in Buzzards Bay is currently subject to an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Wareham, subject to a cap of 200,000 gallons per day. And so that's a somewhat of a natural limitation on the amount of development that can occur within the Seward area. I don't know if that answers your question.
Pretty much, but I guess that with the new technologies that we now have available here, this is going to help the whole process going down the line with planning, especially for these areas, because right now it seems like it's maxed out one area, and if it wants to go into other phases, there has to be other plans. But having seen personally the show, for the technical show with wastewater, it's amazing now what is available for the future for the town. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Further questions? Seeing none, I would invite any federal official present to approach the podium that would like to speak. Any state official present that would like to speak? I think any local officials that would like to speak, please.
I push it to turn on. Green light meant it was on already. Okay. I'm Sally Riggs. I'm the Executive Director of the Bourne Financial Development Corporation, and I'm never quite sure in the various categories that you list where I should stand up, because the BFDC was created by an act of the legislature, but yet its mission is to work with the town of Bourne on economic development issues. So here I am. I just wanted to make a very brief statement encouraging all of you to approve this growth incentive zone application. What has been said before, that there are a number of people who have put a lot of work into that, is very true. The town planner has worked long and hard on this. The Main Street Steering Committee, to which there has been reference, is a committee of the BFDC. It was designed to bring together both public and private aspects of the town of Bourne that have a particular interest in Main Street. So it's made up of the head of the chamber, the head of, when there was a village association, the local comprehensive plan facilitator, as well as the town planner, the head of the planning board, and so on. So you can see it's a very comprehensive group that has, as Town Administrator Garino indicated, worked very closely and quite amicably in their common interest to improve Main Street Buzzards Bay. The Board of Selectmen over the last several years, as they have set their priorities, has included the revitalization of Buzzards Bay as one of those main priorities. So you can see that there is a very large component of the community that's interested in making improvements in downtown Bourne. Finally, I would just like to comment that what we're talking about for the downtown area, for Main Street, Buzzards Bay, is not so much development as it is redevelopment. There is one area in town that would be new development, but other than that, everything that you see in this downtown district is already developed. And so what we're talking about is redevelopment. We're talking about being able to work with the downtown district zoning that allows for greater density, it allows for greater height, and to bring in opportunities for more residential units. If more people are living in downtown, there's going to be a greater demand for commercial activities, for businesses, and so the two things, residential and commercial, need to work together. But I think it's important to remember that we're talking about redevelopment, very little new development, and I think that puts it a little different cast on what we're asking for in terms of having a growth incentive zone. Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask or invite anyone else in the audience that would like to speak to this issue. Please proceed to the podium. Seeing none, I would ask the applicant for final comments.
Again, Corinne Moore, planner for the town of Bourne. I'd just like to say that this has been a long process, but it's been a good process. I think that was said earlier on, that people in Bourne, if they don't agree on anything, they do agree on the downtown, that it needs to be revitalized, and it needs these tools to help it to be revitalized. One statement was made when I was in a meeting, that's a gentleman said that him and his wife like to go to Falmouth to walk on the main street, and he would really like to be able to do that in Bourne. I've lived in Bourne all my life, and I remember when we used to, as kids, go to downtown, go to Buzzards Bay and visit the stores and go to the movie theater. We'd like to be able to do that again. And I think this is a tool that's going to help us get there. It's not the end-all, but I think it's going to be something that's going to push us over that next hump that we have to do. So we just urge you to approve this today. Thank you.
Thank you. I would ask commission staff for their final comments. Yes, Mr. Neswicki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few weeks after I was hired as the executive director in 2007, I was invited to the Upper Cape Tech School Cafe by the Upper Cape Chamber of Commerce. And if you've ever been there, the tech school is on the high side, on a high bluff, basically on the south side of the canal. And coming from a municipal background, it was apparent to me immediately that Bourne was unique as a community, as one of the 15 towns in our jurisdiction. And from that elevation, it was clear to me that that was one of the few places I could stand on Cape Cod and see land that was not part of our jurisdiction. And what was also unmistakable was the impact of the canal itself on on a town that is literally split in two. And from a municipal perspective, the challenges of a town that is literally split in two. And so it was important to me to work in Bourne and work with Bourne. And I don't believe I've been as proud of an application that we put in front of you as I am of this today. It's extraordinarily important to me. My only regret is that it took that long. It took 4 years to do. But this is about more than a growth incentive zone in Buzzards Bay, as important that is. It's about building a relationship with the community of Bourne. And it's taken some time for reasons that I'm sure we're all acquainted with. But we have built a level of trust, I believe, with the town now. And some of their great people, Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board, and Chris Farrell and Corinne has been unbelievable here. And Tom Garino also with the support. And then Sally, and Tom, who are here today. And then there is one person I want to mention who's not here today, which is, my friend Tom Moshe. And so this is an extraordinarily important thing, and I hope you will support this today. This is not the end of our work in Bourne. It's really, in some ways, just the beginning. And we have a lot to do, and I hear Roger's concerns about offsets, and I share them. And we learned in this process a lot about the commission. Bourne teaches us a lot because it is so unique as a community. And we know we've made some tremendous improvements to our regulations and our ordinances to date. We need to make more. We need to move in that direction. And this decision that's in front of you today is crafted so that if we do change the regulations, as we've begun to discuss with the Planning Committee already, that Bourne would be exempt from offsets to the extent that we remove them by changing the regulations going forward. And I suggest that we get to work on that as soon as possible, because we have learned a lot here. We've also put the Reset team in Bourne, and we worked with them on the north side on the wastewater issue. And Austin's right. A lot of the work that we did there informed a lot of the things that you see in the wastewater tool. So we have learned a lot. We are grateful to the town that allowed us in, and grateful for the experience that we've had there. And we do need to continue to evolve as an organization and make improvements. And we're going to do that. The problem that I would see with amending this decision today to remove any requirement for offsets is that that is based on existing county ordinances and regulations that you have passed. And so if you rip them out of this today and you have an abutter or a citizen that doesn't like the GIZ for whatever reason, and they file suit alleging that we did not abide by our regulations and ordinances, then what we seek to do could be taken from us. And when you get a staff report from the commission, it is crafted and is advising you to do what is least likely to put our decisions here on appeal. And I think you've seen that over time. So I'm very sympathetic with Roger's concerns here, and I've heard the same from the town of Bourne, and I agree with them, but the right way to do that is to change the regs and to change the ordinances and to revisit why we have this one-size-fits-all approach and how we might look at it differently, and I think we've already got some ideas on how to do that. So I appreciate Roger's comments, and I really want to thank the town of Bourne in its entirety, and I want to thank my staff who spent a lot of time out there in a community that wasn't always the most friendly to be in. But I think we're in a different spot today, and I'm really proud of the application before you.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to close the hearing and the record.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. At this time, we will enter into a discussion of the draft decision. Now, remember that the step after this is to ask for motions regarding the GIZ and the draft decision. So at this point, anyone have an observation or that they would like to make regarding this draft decision?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Putnam.
At the risk, I very much appreciate what Mr. Niedzwiecki has said concerning this decision, but I am also struck by the fact that the implication in his remarks is that the staff is responsible for making this decision, not us. He recommends we support the staff because of the regulations that we have made. These are our regulations, and as far as I'm concerned, this would be a triumph of regulation over purpose if we insist on offsets in a situation where they are not needed and where clearly they're not in the best interest of what we're trying to do, which is to improve the industrial climate in downtown Bourne and improve the gateway to the Cape. To my mind, to allow ourselves to be made slaves to a procedure is wrong. Common sense should prevail here. We're trying to enhance a development, not force the town of Bourne to take land off the payroll, off the tax rolls, just for the fun of it because we have a regulation that says so. And while I will not make a motion, I want you to know that I feel very strongly that this is beyond the purpose of this commission, and we should look at the act for what we need to do, not look at the regulations that we create ourselves to help us on the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to echo maybe a somewhat softer version of my esteemed colleague from Wellfleet's comments. That I think he's made some real sense there with regard to the examination of the requirement and the need for offsets. I do, however, couch that recollecting our executive director's comments with regard to the way they were crafted, the way the staff decision was crafted, taking into account the balance between growth and preservation, having worked in both capacities with different councils in the town of Bourne on both economic development and open space preservation. They're both sensitive topics. I'd like to see it arrived at in a smart way. I think that the staff decision and most of the members who have worked on this project from the planning side would agree that we've struck a balance here, but there's been an awful lot of discussion with regard to the concept that we will be revisiting our regulations and the way we do business with regard to offsets. And in many ways, this very project that sits here before us has been the impetus for that discussion. And I do feel confident that when we do have that conversation, and I get the sense we're going to have that conversation very quickly, I'd like to hope that Bourne will be at the top of the list of communities that can have this type of a decision re-examined under that new regulation. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mrs. O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the planning board, when Roger raised his point, that we discussed it at length. We are also involved in that conversation. It was not just the subcommittee, but those that are here in this room today. And I'm going to, Roger, when you began to speak, I wrote myself a note. After the vote, should we take some steps to review offsites, which is basically what our executive director has instructed us to do. We went through most of this. We're not rubber stamping anything. We had that discussion in the room. But the primary point and where the focus should be, and what I felt leaving the planning board subcommittee, was that in order to go to the next steps, we need to pass on this today. And as our executive director has pointed out, if sometime at the future, there are avenues. So this isn't, staff has done a good job, but they're not the last word here by any means, and I don't want anybody to think that, is that we discussed it, we understand where we're at, we are very welcome to the fact that Roger enlightens us at meetings, and he is vocal, and he is an active participant. We heard him, I heard him, and I think with that, we will carry whatever you wrote, Roger, we'll take with us, and we'll make it into a motion sometime along the road, or instruct staff or through Paul to review just exactly what you're talking about. But for now, I would say, Roger, let's not keep it going, but you can. But for now, let's get past this one step, and unless you're going to say nice things about me, Roger, and let's go from there.
Thank you. Any further discussion of this draft decision?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Harris.
I have no comments about the draft decision. I just wanted to say that I was listening to all of the people, representatives from Bourne, listing the name of all of the people who participated in it. There's one gentleman who's not here. It is not Tom, but it was John Harding, who was also a member of this thing, and I think that he did a lot of work, and it was really an untimely loss of him. But I remember when I first became a member of this commission that he was working very hard at this, and so I just wanted to recognize him. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank
yes,
you,
Mr. McCormick.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we should look at offsets, but by the same token, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is a purpose behind the offsets. And one of the reasons that the Cape Cod Commission came into existence, because there were no offsets and we were overdeveloped, and that's why we have a wastewater problem today. So we don't want to go too far the other direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Richardson.
A couple of things that occur to me that when we were talking about this earlier this afternoon, we weren't talking about development, we were talking about redevelopment. And I also, this is not the first growth incentive zone that will be within our jurisdiction. I think it'll be the second one, not the third. But anyway, it is a vehicle which prepares the way for a community to move ahead in all areas. And everything that's been mentioned here today will be able to be addressed and handled easier. And this makes so much sense. And comparing, this area with the other area that I know most about, I see great possibilities, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and I tend to support it 100%.
Thank you. Further comments or discussion? Seeing none, I would ask my honorable colleague from Bourne to make the closing motions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Before I do so, I also, in the laundry list of people that I thanked who are in attendance today, I might have failed to have mentioned our town planner, Corinne Moore, who really was the heart and soul of a lot of the work that went into this. So thank you very much, Corinne, for everything you've done for moving this forward with us. And in that vein, I'd like to move to approve the Buzzards Bay Growth Incentive Zone draft decision as amended.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I further move to approve Phase 1 of the Buzzards Bay Growth Incentive Zone and DRI threshold modification request.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finally, I move to forward the Town of Bourne's DRI threshold modification request to the Assembly of Delegates for adoption as an ordinance.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you all. At this point, is there any other business before the commission? Yes, Mr. Neswicki.
We're going to be in front of the Yarmouth Board of Selectmen on Tuesday night. Jack, thank you.
Ms. O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to fall on your wisdom and expertise, but based on Roger's comments, would it be proper for us to have Roger make some sort of motion for the regulatory committee to look at offsets, or do we want to put it on the agenda 3 months from today, or just let the inner workings happen and then address it? So I address that to you, Mr. Neswicki.
Yeah, I would say this is, the decision was crafted with that in mind. We know that we're moving forward on this. We are engaged preliminarily in a process with the state that involves developing and priority development areas and priority protection areas. So that process is going to be overlaid on our land use vision map process. And as part of that, I think our first meeting is next week to discuss how we're going to line that up. This should result in some proposed changes going forward to the Assembly and the modification of the growth incentive zone regs as part of that to address the issue that we found in Bourne is appropriately part of that process. So, I think we've already begun that work, but, and I would just, I know that if we haven't made progress, in a month or two, Roger's going to remind us, so I think it's underway.
Mr. Chairman, I assure
Yes, Mr.
Mr.
Putnam.
Neswicki that I will remind him if it doesn't happen.
Thank you. Mr. Virgilio.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Zwicky's visiting the town, and it's... Would you use the microphone, please? Mike? Tell you how much I appreciate Mr. Nzwicki's visiting all the towns and the presentation that he makes with the Board of Selectmen and other people that are usually there at these meetings. And it certainly is very helpful, it's informative. The selectmen's, my selectmen, I know, very appreciative of it. And I sat there and listened to Paul, and he really explains things better than anyone that we've had here, I feel, previously, as to how things work here and what the new projects are and how they're working. And I think, Paul, you've done a great job with that. Thank you.
Mr. Blanton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly on Mr. Virgilio's point, thank you very much, Paul, for making the tour around to the various towns and the various boards of selectmen. And I appreciate you and I came on board about the same time, and I remember you running the gauntlet through Bourne, as it were. I think hot on the heels of you running the gauntlet through Yarmouth. So talk about a baptism by fire. You've managed to stick with us, and thank you very much for helping us to get to this end game today for Bourne.
Thank you. One more bite at the apple.
I'm sorry, but I too would like to thank Paul Nzwicki for coming before the town of Sandwich, and the the Board of Selectmen certainly appreciated and asked many questions as to where we're going on wastewater, so he's been a busy guy. But with that, I'm going to just remind us that Mass Bike Week is going to be in 2 weeks' time. Maybe at May 7th, we could go a little bit further, but between Mass Bike and Cape Cod Bike, that's building awareness, education, and information regarding Bike Week. Participation would be good by the 14th, so if you don't know what's happening in your communities, maybe you can research a little bit and see if you can be an active participant individually.
I'll consider that a segue into Cape Cod member comments. Any other comments that the membership would like to make? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Adjourned.